class we will focus on investment decisions, so we need to understand what is an investment. We can define an investment as a project that requires initial cash outflows, and because of these cash outflows, it is going to generate probably in the future some cash inflows. Some examples of investments can be the decision of a company to purchase a new equipment, a new asset, or to purchase a new software. So basically, everything that is going to change the asset structure of the balance sheet can be defined as an investment. We can be even more specific and identify some characteristics which distinguish an investment. This characteristic can be, first of all, the fact that the investment requires a cash outflows at the beginning, and we can define with a high level of precision the amount of the cash outflows. The problem is that this kind of investment, and this is the second characteristic, is going to generate a future cash inflow, but we do not know exactly the payback time, where the payback time is the moment in which the investment is going to generate cash in. Moreover, we do not know the amount of the cash that is going to be received by the company, so we don't know the payback time, not even the amount of the cash in. These are basically the characteristics that distinguish an investment from the other decisions. Indeed, if we think of a company, we can have three main types of decisions, and we can classify these decisions on the basis of two main elements, where these elements are the time horizon and then the impact on the company, specifically the impact on the ability of the company to generate economic value. The first type of decision that we can have is represented by what is defined as short-term decisions. If we have short-term decision, the impact in terms of time horizon is limited. We are talking about an impact which is lower than 1 year. Examples are decisions that are related to the change in the production mix, the change in the quantity, the change in the price. So something that affects the company for a period of time, which is the next month, the next week, the next semester, or something similar, basically lower than 1 year. So we are not touching the assets which are available for the company. Moreover, at the same time, let's say this is a consequence, the impact on the company, specifically on the ability of the company to generate economic value, is limited. If we make the wrong decision because we define the quantity to produce, which is not enough, we have an impact, of course, but it is limited in terms of overall economic value, which is not generated in this case. Then we have a second category of decisions, which are what are defined as medium, long-term decisions. And these medium long-term decisions are exactly our investment decisions. So we are talking about some projects that are going to change the asset structure of the company, and they have an impact on a time horizon which is higher than 1 year. Think of the decision of the company of purchasing a new equipment or a new software. Probably the company is going to use the equipment or the software for a period of time which is higher than 1 year. Probably 5 years or 10 years. That's the reason why we are talking about an impact in terms of time horizon which is medium-high. And at the same time, the impact on the company, so on the ability of the company to generate economic value, is medium-high as well. If we are purchasing the wrong equipment, or let's say more in general, if we are making the wrong decision, we can have a significant impact on our ability to generate cash, because we are influencing the cash for the next, 5, 6, 7 years. Finally, we have a third category of decisions that are the so-called strategic decisions. In this case, we are talking about something that will have an impact on the company for a very long-term time horizon. We are talking about decisions that will affect the next, probably a period of time which is higher than 10 years. Typical examples of strategic decisions are the decision to enter a new business or dismiss a certain business. So we are talking about something that can undermine the overall survival of a company. That's the reason why the impact on the company is very high. So we are talking about something that can change, that can affect, let's say, the overall survival of the company. So a very high impact on the ability of the company to generate economic value. Starting from this classification of decisions, we can say that all of these decisions can be evaluated in terms of their ability to generate economic value, so their ability to generate cash for the shareholders, because we are talking about profit company, which is our focus. And so we can say that if we want to evaluate this decision, we can use as a metric the so-called net present value. So the net present value of our decisions, whatever kind of decision we are talking about, can be defined as the sum from the time which is today until infinite of the net cash flow that are generated by the decision at a certain moment of time, discounted. That's the general formula, and as I said, we can use this formula for evaluating all of these decisions. Our focus will be on investment decisions, so we can simplify this formula. If we think of the second category of investment, we can simplify the NPV formula and it will become the following. NPV, again calculating at the moment 0, will be equal to the sum from 0 till capital T of the net cash flow T discounted 1 plus K at the power of T plus the terminal value at the instant of time capital T discounted 1 plus K at the power of capital T. So if we look at the differences between the general formula and the one that we apply when we have the investment decision, we can see two main differences. The first one is related to capital T, because basically if we have an investment decision, rather than summing the net cash flow from 0 till infinite, we just sum the net cash flow with reference to the expected life cycle of our investment. For example, if we think of the purchasing of an equipment by a company and this equipment is expected to be used for the next 10 years, then our capital T will be 10. So we will calculate the net cash flow for the next 10 years. So capital T is the expected life cycle of the investment, which operationally represents the number of years for which we are going to calculate the net cash flow. The other difference is this second part of the formula, because we are going to add to the calculation of the net cash flow a terminal value. The terminal value corresponds to the value of the investment of our project at the end of its life cycle. For example, still if we think of the purchasing of this equipment and the equipment is going to be used for the next 10 years, the value of the equipment at the end of this life cycle will be the terminal value. Of course, we could also have as a terminal value 0. In the moment in which the company finishes the depreciation of the equipment, we will have as a terminal value 0. The opposite instead, if the company decides to sell the equipment, we will have a certain value of terminal value that will be the selling price. If we want to generalize, this terminal value can be considered as the value of our project at the end of its life cycle, if any. So, to conclude, we can say that if we want to evaluate an investment decision, we can use this NPV formula, which is simplified just because we are simplifying the calculation with respect to the time horizon that is limited to the number of years for which we are expecting to have an impact about our investment.